Yo, what's up guys? Today we're going to be talking about the MVP award. This year's MVP race is going to be crazy with all the different players who have a chance of winning it. The door is really wide open. Last year people thought Westbrook was going to average a triple-double, and by the end of the year you just knew he was going to win it, and it was definitely just a two-man race. But this year there's a bunch of competitors, and we're going to see who really breaks out and shows that they're one of the front runners for the award. So there's usually three different types of MVP winners. There's the best player on the best team, self-explanatory, just the best player on the team that has the best record in the NBA. Then there's the best player on one of the top teams in the league, usually a top 3 in their conference. This player usually puts up a pretty crazy stat line. And then the third type of MVP would be the player who makes it to the playoffs and puts up insane stats, say a Russell Westbrook. Usually you don't really see this one, but last year was a special case. Alright, so starting off, how this list is going to work. I have a couple of players who have a chance of winning the MVP award. Then I have my top 3 who I believe have the best shots of winning the MVP award in order. The honorable mentions are in no particular order. So starting off, we have Kevin Durant. Now Kevin Durant winning the award is a part of the best player on the best team category. Although people don't really like Kevin Durant, if the Warriors can win 70 plus games and he puts up nearly 30, you gotta give the guy the award no matter what. He's the leader of that team. People view him as the leader of that team, even though in the locker room he might only be the 3rd leader in the entire team, maybe even 4th. But that finals MVP and his performance in the finals really give him a storyline. Storylines are very important for winning the MVP award. Next off, I have James Harden, a player who's been a runner-up twice. Felt like he should have won it in 2015. It felt like he was so close in 2017 last year. But this might be his year due to the fact that Russell Westbrook has teammates surrounding him this time. And also in the first 2 games of the season, he really showed out and had great performances, even with the addition of Chris Paul. With Chris Paul being out for the first month, it's only going to add to his MVP case and story. The storyline of being the runner-up 2 times and finally being able to break out and win the award would be a great story after that lacking performance he had in the last game of his season last year. And the Rockets are definitely going to win a lot of games, probably be a top 3 seed, possibly a 4th seed. But if they can get to that 2nd seed, I could definitely see James Harden winning this award. So next off, I'm going to be talking about last year's MVP, Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook had a great season last year, averaging a triple-double. He won the award. Last year he won it because of his insane stat line. This year he could win it by being the best player on a top 3 seed in their conference. So obviously I'm expecting them to be a great team this year. They could seed from either 2nd to 4th, all things considered, depending on how quickly their big 3 can mesh together. Russell Westbrook is still going to be expected to do a lot as he's the primary ball handler, and you're not getting the ball from Russell Westbrook. He's definitely going to be putting up the assists. The triple doubles are still going to be there. Of course, I'm not expecting him to average the triple double, but they'll still be up there. So if they can be the 2nd seed and he can be the best player on that 2nd seed, I could definitely see him winning this award. Next up, I have John Wall. Now, John Wall is kind of a dark horse pick for MVP. A lot of things would have to go right, but it's definitely possible. The Wizards have an opportunity to be the 1st seed in the East this year, especially with the Gordon Hayward injury. Get well soon, Gordon Hayward. But that really opens up the door for the Wizards to be the 1st seed in the East. And if John Wall can put up crazy numbers and lead the Wizards to a 1st seed, he definitely has a shot of being the MVP this year. Next up is Blake Griffin, another dark horse candidate. A lot of things would also have to go right for this. But if you've been watching, Blake Griffin has been putting up some amazing numbers this season, putting up 29 points, being a real point forward in all his games. If he can keep that up and the Clippers can keep winning, there's no reason why he can't win the award. But of course, everything would have to go right. Clippers would have to shock the world and be a top 3 seed, which is pretty unlikely, but it's definitely possible if Kawhi Leonard is out for long enough and the Thunder just don't mesh for a while. That's the only way I could ever see this happening, and if he can continue to put up these crazy numbers. But still, it's an unrealistic idea, but it's definitely possible if everything goes right. Alright, so now I'm going to be moving into the top 3 portion of this list. Now you guys might be wondering, wow, Durant, Westbrook and James Harden were in the honorable mentions. So you guys might have already figured out who I have in the top 3. So at number 3, I have Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, his first 3 games have been absolutely incredible. The numbers he's putting up, as well as the Bucks are winning most of these games. It's very realistic to see him winning the MVP, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Right now, he looks like he's definitely the MVP of the league, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Last year, DeMar DeRozan was looking like an MVP winner in the first couple weeks of the season, as well as Anthony Davis was putting up like 50 points every other night in the first couple weeks of the season. So he might just slow down as the season goes on. So I don't want to really award him with the award. Maybe the Bucks start losing a bunch of games, or maybe he just slows down and can't produce this many numbers. But with the way he's playing right now, there's no reason why he can't win the award. Giannis Antetokounmpo is 23 years old. Will definitely become the greatest player in the world at one point or another. He's still got a couple years before that, maybe 1 or 2, honestly. But yeah, Giannis is definitely going to be an MVP winner in his career. I can't see a future where Giannis Antetokounmpo doesn't win at least 1 MVP. And that year might just be this year with the way he's playing if he can continue this. At number 2, I have Kawhi Leonard. Now, don't sleep on Kawhi Leonard just because he's been out for the first couple of games, and the Spurs are still staying afloat, which may cause people concern for his MVP candidacy. But Kawhi Leonard is an MVP talent, and Kawhi Leonard has improved every season so far, so I expect him to improve this season too. That might be unrealistic with the injury he's facing, but when Kawhi Leonard gets back, he's definitely going to be putting up the numbers with how he's improving every season. He's still the best, if not the second best defender in the entire league. He's also an extreme threat on the offensive end. And I wouldn't be so worried about him missing games or him not playing that many minutes in the Spurs system. Last year, he played as many games as LeBron, and people just act like that never happens and always complain about LeBron not playing enough games or minutes, even though he played the same amount of games and more minutes than Kawhi. Plus is like 6 years older, but people didn't care about that last year, so they'll probably just not care about it this year either, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. He's going to put up the numbers. The Spurs are always a top team in the league. If they can become the 2nd seed, I can't see them being the 1st seed even with the Warriors' early struggles, but the 2nd seed's still possible with the Spurs' great system, as well as the Thunder taking time to mesh, and the Rockets when CP3 comes back, because when CP3 was on the floor, the Rockets weren't as good as they were with him off the floor, which actually isn't that crazy to think about, because James Harden really hasn't had a ball handler next to him since Russell Westbrook on the Thunder when he was not yet a star. So if the Spurs can be the 2nd seed, Kawhi Leonard can come back with some great performances, improve as he always does, keep up on the defensive end. Maybe he can win MVP and Defensive Player in the same year this season. That would be crazy to see. Maybe he could be the first player to win both awards in the same year since Hakeem Olajuwon in 1994. Only 4 players have ever won the MVP and Defensive Player in their entire careers. Only 2 have done it in the same season, being Michael Jordan and Hakeem, as previously mentioned. Maybe Kawhi Leonard could join that list. Alright, so at number 1, you might have already guessed who I have. I have LeBron James. Now that we've gone 3 games into the season, this pick definitely isn't as solid as it was before the season started, but even after seeing the first 3 games, I could definitely still see LeBron hoisting the MVP award. Some people might have him 3rd or 4th in the race right now, but I expect the Cavs to bounce back, be the 1st seed in the East this season, and LeBron to guide them with crazy stats this season. Might seem rather unlikely, but I could see LeBron averaging about 26, 8, and 8 like he did last season, and the Cavs winning 50 plus games. And the storyline's definitely there. I feel like people do want to see LeBron win another MVP award and match Michael Jordan's 5 MVPs. Of course, he'll have to earn it. There's a lot of competition this season, but LeBron James definitely has a chance to win the award if he can just play and actually attempt to try and win the MVP award. If LeBron puts his mind to it, he could definitely do it. Giannis Antetokounmpo is probably the front runner right now. In a head-to-head matchup, LeBron beat him outright. So that only adds to his MVP case. If he can beat other MVPs in head-to-head matchups, that'll be good for him and for his case. He's already 1-0 against the only MVP matchup he's faced. And if he can continue that, it will only add to his case. Plus, if the Cavs can continue to be horrible when he's off the court, that'll also add to his case. But it might take away from it, because when Kawhi Leonard's team wins a bunch of games without him, people don't seem to hold that against him at all. Of course, I know that the teams that are faced were bad teams last year, but this season they beat the Minnesota Timberwolves without him. And the Minnesota Timberwolves just beat OKC, which some people think is the second best team in the league. So I think the Spurs are pretty good without Kawhi Leonard. But the Cavs without LeBron James, that team is awful. Completely awful. In their latest game, the only players who really showed up were LeBron and Kevin Love. LeBron had a good, efficient game. Wish he shot more, but he can't shoot every shot. He only played 31 minutes. That game definitely didn't add to his MVP case with how poorly the Cavs played. They can't afford to lose to terrible teams if they want to win the award. They can't afford to lose to terrible teams if LeBron wants to win the award, because they got to win about 60 games to realistically do this. At least in the high 50s. No one's going to vote for LeBron if they only win like 52 games and LeBron puts up the stats he did last season. That's just not impressive enough with what other players should be doing this season. So LeBron realistically needs to win in the high 50s and put up numbers slightly better than he did last season, which I believe isn't that unlikely due to the fact that the Cavs, I feel like they're going to bounce back after that loss. That was embarrassing. I felt like they were embarrassed by it. And if LeBron continues to play 35 minutes a game, I don't see why he can't put up better stats than he did last season, with the fact that no one on his team demands the ball as much as Kyrie Irving did last season. Right now, LeBron's just trying to get everyone involved and try to make everyone comfortable. When that can happen, LeBron will definitely start taking over and putting up the stats he usually does, and maybe even better than he usually does. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Please let me know any candidates that I left out, as well as who you think's going to win the award. Remember to like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and that's it for this video. Hope you guys all enjoyed.